Hey guys, and welcome back to another Pokemon Leaks and Theories. We've got a lot to go over today. Koro have leaked apparently a lot of things, but translation issues has really messed it up. And we've got another leaked image of Pokemon Black and White Remakes, which maybe could support the theory that they're coming this year. Who knows? I obviously did a video on that, on why I think they're not coming this year, but you should check that out before I go more into it. If you do enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. We're going to start off with the first story, which is just a little bit of a tiny little story. So obviously we had the IGBA be released onto the App Store, being the first ever official emulator to be put on Apple. Obviously you can hack them in, or you can download some dodgy apps, but this was the first official one, but it's been removed due to copyright issues essentially. So IGBA has been removed from the App Store due to it copying another open source project code without authorization. We should be getting more and better emulators in the coming weeks. If you have downloaded the game like I have, then you are absolutely fine. It's still able to be used if you already got the game, but if you haven't got it, unfortunately you have to wait for a new one to be released. However, obviously, it was a bit of an awkward one because when I tried to use it, I thought the games would be on there, but you still got to download ROM, for it, and they are a pain in the ass to get, especially after the whole Nintendo banning, for example, Citra. So it's a bit of an awkward thing to get. I've got the game, I've got the app, but I haven't really used it. And someone wants to play Pokemon Black, then running on. Well, if I still have the app on my phone, well, like I said before, they'll probably don't use it as it tracks your location and has ads, neither of which are necessary for an emulator. There's been a lot of rumors about that, but I have also been seeing that Central Leaks especially has been tweeting out basically saying, was it Central Leaks? It could have been, that there is nothing on the app actually tracking you, that it doesn't give you the option, so I don't believe it does actually track the app. But unfortunately has been removed from the game store, from the App Store, so we have to wait a little while for a new one to come out, but I thought it was just a little story just to kick off the video. Moving on, we've got the Koro magazines featuring a 2-page article on the up-and-coming Game Freak titled Pokemon Legends Z to A, and people are saying that they've leaked so much. They've leaked nothing, kind of. There's been a lot of translation issues. And obviously Koro is a Japanese magazine, and this is the front page, and picture-wise they've leaked absolutely nothing. Obviously you've got the massive title there, pictures that have obviously come from the trailer. We've got a picture of Pikachu come from the trailer, and we've got the picture of Lumiose City back in the past. I hope in the past anyways. Once again, boom, that we already know all about this, but the next page is where it gets a little bit interesting. Obviously they've highlighted the Mega Evolution, but they have also got Mega Garchomp and Mega Salamence, so a lot of people kind of saying, oh, the Pokemon are confirmed to be back, which to be honest we kind of expected them to be in the game anyways, but kind of confirmed that they're back, if you want to call it that. They have got pictures of Yveltal and Xerneas, obviously Zygarde down at the bottom. We knew Zygarde would be in the game, it's basically his game. Yveltal and Xerneas we presume will be in the game because it's based in Kalos, but there's nothing confirmed. This isn't a confirmation about them being in the game. None of this is confirmation. You gotta remember, Koro they're linked with the Pokemon Company, I'm pretty sure. Obviously they did a lot of leaks back in the day, especially back in 2014, but since the massive leaks they released back then, especially with the X and Y games and the ORAS games, then they've really calmed it down on them. And we have got this little picture of Pokemon X and Y back in the bottom. However, Soul Silver Arts did tweet saying some big details about Pokemon Legends ZA have been revealed from this month's Koro. It really does feel like 2014 again. Thank you so much to Moot and Razenbert for translating this. They're obviously the translators. The first 3 points are especially interesting. Different universe from X and Y probably, and this makes it seem more Evo. Lore will probably play a huge role in it. Plot, much more speculation to come, so they said a couple points of interest. Koro once again, it reiterates that this is a new Lumiose City different from the previous one from X and Y. Koro points out there is a bunch of wild animals, Pokemon, bloody hell, all throughout the city, which you can presume from the trailer. Megas from X and Y and ORAS are returning. The lore of Mega Evolutions will be explored again, which you can kind of presume. Koro points out Zygarde's similarities to the game's logo. The Adventures is set in Lumiose City, but we will be able to meet the legendaries of the Kalos region. Koro says stay tuned for next month's report. And then a further post from Soul Silver Arts wanted to address this. I admit that I shouldn't have said big details. Composing a post is truly art because one wrong word can change everything. But please understand, I always take home unknown interest in translations with a grain of salt. Always, even though it's come from CoroCoro, the translations haven't. So I should have said at the start, take it with a massive grain of salt. Everything in these videos you take with a massive grain of salt. I was kindly sent this translation. I double checked it with a friend to see if it was somewhat accurate, and instead it got the gist of it. I think the bigger problem comes from people misinterpreting it. I can't speak today. So new Lumiose City, different from X and Y, could just mean this isn't the particular small Lumiose City from X and Y. Nothing to do with lore. It's just a remodeled city for this game. Very true. It just could be they're making a new game. You gotta remember, little things like that isn't going to be a big part of the lore. A bunch of Pokemon throughout the city, whether they are wild or not, doesn't matter in my opinion. Megas from both ORAS and X and Y return is assumed from them using those images. Mega Evo lore being explored is just new information, but it's also easily assumed. Once again, we knew it. Why would they announce big Mega Evolution at the back? We knew we'd be getting it. Especially when they announced it, they have to go into the lore. The last 2 points are self-explanatory, but I'm exciting questions to me. When I made this post, I got excited, and speculations were being big because we can take those lines and speculate about what they mean. But at face value, it's basically just CoroCoro's take on what we saw in the trailer on Pokemon Day. Sorry for the confusion. The Central Leaks did actually say you should delete the original post. The translation is completely wrong, and people are still believing it. If my post, and then they. Once again, like I said, this is a long thread. If my post was just simply the translations, I'd have deleted it already, but I think the speculation part of it is valid, and I explained why in this post above. Also, in my opinion, I said that we were waiting for a full translations, so I'll attach this post to a thread just because people are going to still go wild, but if they can't or won't read. So it's a very fair point, to be fair. And that's the end of the thread that I've got. But obviously these CoroCoro posts, like I said, back in the day, they did release a lot, to be fair to them. Can't get to that then. They did release a lot, which is obviously, like, they had a lot of fake posts as well. A lot of fake Pokemon leaks that came out. Obviously they weren't used back in ORAS and Pokemon X and Y. So when it comes to CoroCoro, you do take it with a massive grain of salt. Like I said, they are not the Pokemon company, they just have links with them. So whatever CoroCoro do post, then you can't exactly take it as an announcement because it's not Pokemon themselves. And I think a lot of people need to remember that. Okay, moving on, we are staying with Soul Silver art, and I won't lie to you, we're staying with them for the rest of the day. I use a lot of Soul Silver art in these videos, but many people think that the A in Legend Z-A could be depicting Ultimate Weapon. It does kind of look like it, and it would be connected to Z-A being AZ's backward. So it is a reasonable option, but what if we do find out the Ultimate Weapon is actually Pokemon 2? That's a bit far-fetched. That there's an A-shaped legendary Pokemon that has always been part of the Ultimate Weapon. I think that's a bit far, but it kind of does make sense. It sounds very Pokemon. Maybe the part we see is the spikes that sprout out of its head, tail, or back of the rest of the Pokemon in underground, directly beneath what we see of it in X and Y. There is secretly part of Pokemon that no one knows about except AZ. He was said to have made it. If it could even be the Pokemon responsible for creating Mega Evolution as well. I struggle with that one. So obviously these are the pictures. I actually really love the story of Pokemon X and Y, especially with the Ultimate Weapon, because it's the first time, and probably the last time we saw it since Scarlet and Violet, we had a genuinely, like, a different, it wasn't a Pokemon story. Obviously Sword and Shield we had, you know, people tried to take over the world, bad people, and yeah, blah blah blah. It was just a very Pokemon story, but this was so different. Ultimate Weapon was such a cool storyline, and I have recently just bought Pokemon Y again, so I gave it to my girlfriend, and obviously I haven't seen it since. Obviously, so they're speculating that this is the part that could be, when it opens up, this is the part that could be the Pokemon, which it would mean that you need a very big bloody Pokemon, because you gotta remember that the Ultimate Weapon was huge, absolutely huge. And Enoch Thunderflame, what a name, said, do you believe Pokemon will receive a Mega A form or Mega Z form in this game? If X and Y did this with the letters in mind, who knows what Game Freak will do, and they definitely think it's a possibility. If the Ultimate Weapon is a Pokemon, it likely have form differences, since the difference between X and Y. I did not know that. I did not know that it was different. I haven't played the games in a very long time, and I've always seen that image. And then you got, just honestly curious, is the Pokemon Generations episode, The Redemption, considered canon by the Pokemon Company to their games? Not really interested in that one. So, but this, there we go, we got a theory. So, we all know the ultimate weapon is what created Megastones, right? And in Diance's movie, she basically created her own Megastone. The energy coming out of the ultimate weapon is pink, so I think Diance is the power source. And also, you've got to remember, from that film, you have also got that massive, massive stone as well that they kind of protected. So that could be directly linked to it as well. So maybe not. I know there has been a lot of rumors about a Pokemon A legendary, but I couldn't find any viable information yet based on it today. But I quite like this theory, but ultimately I do see a Pokemon A legendary coming into play. I just don't think it's going to be connected to the ultimate weapon in this sense, because I do actually agree with the theory we just read. It's the first time I read the theory about Diance kind of having control with obviously the stone, and I think that kind of has a bit more value to it. But the Pokemon A legendary, I can definitely see happening as well. You got to remember, we are dealing with Game Freak here. Finishing off with Soul Silver Arts, we've got this picture, and it's a very choppy picture. And this is probably the first real Generation 5 remake leak, but no one wants to believe it. It could be a little bit of a troll post, we're not too sure. Of course, this is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but this came from a real leak in 2020 of a Pokemon Sun and Moon prototype debug. It could mean anything, and still to this day, no one is totally sure. So like I said, back in 2020, a massive leak came out, and this was one of the pictures. And it was about Sun and Moon, obviously, but as you can see, I think the reason that people are so thing about it is because we've got the Pokemon Black and White characters, and I think that's why people are kind of using this towards Pokemon Black and White. The question is why they're using black and white pictures, who knows? Characters, who knows? I'm not too sure myself. Obviously, if it is for Sun and Moon and it's a prototype debug and you can clearly see it is for the 3DS, then I don't particularly believe it, but it could also mean that, you know, maybe back then they were looking into black and white remakes, but then at the same time, we're talking about 2016 did these games come out? 2016, 2017, 2015, that sort of area. These games came out. So, you know, no, I don't particularly believe that they had connections, but it does mean, obviously they had this in the vault, so it doesn't mean maybe that they made this to make Pokemon Black and White remakes, but it definitely could mean that they go back to it, and these could be the character forms that we get. And I wouldn't be too surprised. You gotta remember, I know we're probably gonna be getting Ilka making this game, but obviously you had Fire Red, Leaf Green. It was a different art style to Heart Gold Soul Silver, which has a different art style to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, which has a different art style to BDSP. So, yes, realistically, you probably will be seeing a new art style. Typically, they do have the art style kind of correlate with the games out at the time, which was the big thing about BDSP changing up. Fire Red, Leaf Green had the art style of Emerald, essentially. Diamond and Pearl had the same art style as Heart Gold Soul Silver. Oris had the same art style as X and Y. And then BDSP obviously had its own art style because it was a Faithful remake. So if they stick with the Faithful, if this is true, it's looking like they're not sticking to the Faithful remake, which is quite nice. Because obviously the Faithful remake was the thing that kind of buggered up the last game. They were faithful to the wrong game. But was any source indicating that this is real? I've never seen this before. So me neither. Wouldn't be the weirdest case, but I remember seeing this image pass around about a prototype DP, a Diamond Pill title screen, so somewhat background and strange silhouettes. Obviously, you gotta remember. God, that looks old. I haven't seen that picture before, and it kind of like obviously. If that's a very basic leak, then obviously they won't use the actual Pokemon. So it kind of makes sense. Obviously the silhouettes was the big thing about those games. If you load up Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl right now, then it is obviously the silhouette that you see. So I don't think that's a terrible leak. Do I believe it completely? Apparently it's a real leak. I don't know personally. I'm on the fence at this one. I think it's a real leak, but I don't think you should look too much into it. So ultimately, it was a nice little post to have, and I think I do believe, and I won't be surprised if the art style of the characters is used. I believe that's what we're going to be getting from this picture. I don't believe this is what the game's going to look like, especially because Diamond and Pearl, Black and White just didn't look like this. It was a very city-based game, so I believe this is probably the type of characters we will be getting, and I won't surprise me at all. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.